Bonjour, France. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, if you've watched my channel before, then you'll know that I have an immaculate, pristine, perfect French pronunciation. That is right. No, that is actually completely wrong. My pronunciations are absolutely terrible, guys. I cannot, I can't pronounce any French. So we have this video here, why it's so hard to understand spoken French, by the channel Real Spoken French with Valentin. So links down below for this. And we're going to check it out. Maybe this will help me a little bit with my French pronunciations, guys. If you enjoy these videos, dumb American like myself, learning about the French culture and the French history and French comedy and pretty much anything to do with France, then this is the channel for you. Do me a favor and hit like and subscribe because you are an amazing person. So thanks for watching with me. We're going to check this out, guys.
Bonjour. I've noticed that many people struggle with understanding natural spoken French.
Right.
Even people who can speak and read French.
Uh-oh.
Why is that?
So it's even worse. Guys, I cannot even read or speak roten French or nothing. I don't know any. I know what bonjour means.
I've been thinking about this for a long time as a teacher and as a language nerd, and I've found several reasons.
Okay.
Here are 3 of them to keep this video short.
3.
First of all, most teaching and learning methods out there are text-based. They use text as the primary way to teach the language. But humans communicate through sounds, not text.
Yeah, that is a good point.
And so you get that disconnect between the way you learn and the way you're taught and what you really need in everyday situations.
That's true, because if you learn how to speak French, you could learn how to speak it without being able to read it. Just like a child can communicate with people and get the point across of what they're talking about, but they can't sit there and read stuff. But they can communicate. So that is true. The voice, the auditory part of it is definitely more important than being able to read, because you don't learn to read first. You learn to speak it first. Once you know how to actually speak it and conversate with people, then you start moving on to reading and writing it. So it is kind of a weird backward situation, isn't it? Let's continue.
And as you probably already know, in French, the difference between what we write and what we say is huge. I mean, the difference is there's always a difference.
Right.
Depending on languages, some languages are
tricky.
worse than others. I mean, English is it's quite something. You think about the word enough, for example.
Yeah.
GH pronounced th. Enough.
It is weird.
That's very weird. I would like to say enoug. But French is particularly bad in that regards, because the thing is, so there's a lot of silent letters, there's a lot of letter combinations that are pronounced nothing like the letters taken on their own, but there's also the fact that we blend and blur words together a lot. And there's a big difference between what I would call teacher French, over-enunciated French, and actual everyday spoken French. There's differences in the vocabulary that we use, but also the way we pronounce things. So I'll give you an example. Je sais pas ce qu'il fait. Je sais pas ce qu'il fait. That means I don't know what he's doing.
Okay.
Like this.
It's not. Je ne sais pas quoi. Wow, that doesn't look anything like what he says. He said just a pass or something?
Je sais pas ce qu'il fait. Yep, you heard that right. Now, here's the phonetic transcription of what I like to call the honest spelling. Je sais pas ce qu'il fait.
Okay.
That's how we would say this in everyday spoken French.
Wow, that is weird that means je. But I would look at it like je ne sais pas quoi faire. Wow. Wow, that is crazy. That is such a difference.
Say this.
I don't think it's going to be easy for me if I try to learn French.
In everyday spoken French. Not in slang, just everyday spoken French. I'm not going to break this down here because that's not the point of the video, but it gives you an idea of the magnitude of the difference. So that's another reason why it can be so hard to understand spoken French. And lastly, there's something quite interesting about how, once again, text influences our perception of sounds and of speaking.
It does.
There are spaces between words when we write, and that's very convenient because it means you know where words end and begin.
Not always, not with Dutch. They run a bunch of words together and they don't even put spaces in between some of it. If it's a collective that means one thing. So like, for instance, in English, if you say the house is, it's a purple house, there's spaces in between everything. But in Dutch, it would be like purple house because it's a one concept that defines one thing. Purple house would be combined with no space. So it would be like parsels or something, right? Because purple is pars in Dutch and house is like hoes. So there'd be no space, parsels. So there is, sometimes, depending on the language, sometimes you do words without gaps, without spaces.
That wasn't always the case, by the way. If you look at older texts from before the 10th century, for example.
Is that why Dutch does sometimes not have spaces? Maybe it's just a leftover from the old times?
You get this thing where there are no spaces.
The confusion is unreal.
Can you imagine how difficult this must be to read? Yeah. Especially in a foreign language when you don't know all of the words.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to pick out individual. Now, if it was English ran together, I'm still going to have difficulty for sure, but I would be able to figure it out because I can pick out individual words by looking at them and everything. But another language, and no, that'd be impossible.
Hard to know where words end and begin here. Well, guess what? This is how it feels to listen to spoken French.
Yeah.
Or to any language, really. Because the truth is, there are no spaces between words when we speak. There are no pauses. We do not.
Right. So you're not going to have the differentiating between the different words. So if you're not familiar, you're still not going to be able to know where one word stops and one word starts. That does make sense because I've been trying to learn Dutch and I have some difficulties, for real.
Speak like this. And so it means you have a continuous stream of foreign sounds thrown at you. And your brain has to do the cutting itself. Yeah. It has to determine where words end and begin. It has to make guesses. So that makes it all the more difficult. Now, all of this is, unfortunately, there are no quick fixes to this, but I hope it helps you make sense of your experience, and it underscores the importance of training your ear, of not relying solely on text and text-based learning methods, and turning off the subtitles as much as you can. I know this is difficult because usually material with subtitles, YouTube videos, for example, or films, there's so much going on already that you have to think about the grammar, you have to think about the vocabulary, you have to think, and turning off the subtitles is hard. And it can be too big a leap between your current level and the film or the video you're watching. I'm aware of that. And that's why I'm working.
People say, I've watched videos about trying to learn a language, right? And people say that, you got to think about it as like a baby, right? Nobody's teaching the baby. They learn from listening. So you have to immerse yourself in the sounds of the language that you're listening or trying to learn, right? But if you're trying to do what he's saying, turn off the subtitles and kind of jump in, right? He said, there might be too big of a gap between your learning level of where you are in that language to where the subtitle or where the spoken language is going to be in the film you're watching. A lot of people do recommend what you can do is start with baby shows, start with kid cartoons. It sounds crazy, it sounds like, why do I want to watch, kid? But it's simple words that kids start with, right? You don't just throw a bunch of big words at kids. You start with baby words, small steps, right? So kids cartoons is going to be the simplest form of whatever language it is that you're trying to learn. It's going to be basic words, small sentences, stuff that should be somewhat easy to start with. So if you're going to do that route and turn off the subtitles, again, I'm not a language expert at all. I'm struggling to learn Dutch, and I've done like 1 or 2 lessons of French on Duolingo. That's my experience. So, but just from what I've learned from videos that I've watched, trying to figure out a faster route, you immerse yourself in it. Start with cartoon kid stuff with simple language.
On building a comprehensive program to help you understand spoken French, real spoken French, without subtitles. It will be based on ear training, so that from day one you start training your ear to recognize French sounds without subtitles. Because the thing with subtitles is they're helpful, but they create a cycle. The more you use them, the more you need them.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've watched stuff in subtitle, and the only reason I keep going back to Dutch, this isn't my Dutch channel. This is a French channel. It's just that's the only experience I have with another language. Okay, so yeah, reading the subtitles, it basically overrides your brain to where your brain is just reading those words. So you're not actually listening to the spoken language you're trying to learn. You don't hear it. Your brain's blocking it out because you're actively reading something else. So it does kind of limit your ability. I see where he's going with this.
And so it's a bit of an addiction in a way. So yeah, I'm working on this program, and so if you're interested, if you're curious, do drop a comment. Let me know, and I'll add you to a list so I can let you know when it's ready. You can also add me.
Okay, well, I'm gonna drop a comment here. Awesome. Add me to the list. Exclamation. Whoops. There we go.
Me as a friend so I can message you when it's ready, or send me your email address. In any case, if you're interested, if you're curious or interested, write curieux or curieuse. Oops, sorry.
Okay, that's the comment I have to do. Okay, guys, I apologize here. Curieux. Oh, wait. I forgot the U. There we go. We'll comment that.
Curieux or curieuse if you're a woman.
Oh, okay. So French has gender words. Curieux, curieux. Okay. That just gonna make it more confusing for me.
I'm going to take a break for the end of the year and the beginning of next year. I'm reading a great book, Slow Productivity. And it explains how when you're innovating and you're creating something new, it's really important to take breaks, because that's when you have insights, and that's
and time to reflect on what you've already done, to then take the stuff you've reflected on to apply to what you're going to do.
That's when you have your best ideas.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll work on building that program. Anyway, whether you're interested or not in the program, try to turn the subtitles off as much as possible. Try to close your eyes.
Unless I'm doing reaction videos because I need the subtitles because we all need to know what's going on, right? If
And
they're right.
pay attention to what your ear receives, the sounds of the language, rather than relying so much on text.
Right.
And lastly, thank you so much for your heartwarming messages
Okay, that's
on
the end
my
of
recent video.
that video. So, very cool. I enjoyed that. Thanks for the suggestion. Don't remember your name, but you know who you are. You suggested this video, so shout out to you. And thanks for watching it with me, guys. You guys have a super fun, awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, bye.